Hello, Danique.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, nice to meet you too. Before you get started, obviously Mud Jeans is one of the pioneering companies. How do you see kind of a circular fashion or the state of circular fashion at the moment?
Well, I think it's a lot of talking and a lot of talking about recycling, but that's nearly not good enough because it's not only about recycling something new, isolation material or something. For us, it's really about recycling something into a new product to keep the resources like in their optimal, value. So I think there's really a long way to go, but of course, that may.
Brilliant. Okay, the floor is yours, so please.
Great. So where can I see my presentation? Yes, perfect. So Mud Jeans, like you just heard, a pioneering brand. We are the first and still the only circular fashion brand or denim brand in the world. That means we recycle all our jeans. It's not a marketing thing or just a small percentage of our jeans. No, we really ask our customers to send back their jeans after use to us so we can recycle them, and we take care of that whole process, of that whole loop of making the jeans, of getting the cotton first, making the jeans, selling the jeans, getting the jeans back, recycling them, etc. So today I will talk about how the process works, and also what we do to become better known. My background is in marketing, so be careful with all the critical fashion questions, but I'm sure I can help out because I'm also co-owner and at Mud Jeans since 2014. Well, the impact of fashion, you sure all know about it. A lot of cotton, a lot of water is required to make the cotton. A lot of pesticides are often still used. This picture below is the Aral Sea that is now dried up while it used to be a thriving fishing village. And of course, a lot of textiles are being wasted and burned. The impact of fashion, and then especially the impact of jeans, is of course huge. 2 billion jeans sold in 2017, and that is also the reason why we focus on jeans, because jeans are such a polluting item and also one of the most popular items in fashion. So if you can change that, you can really start changing something bigger. Well, a lot of pesticides are used, a lot of CO2 by burning, a lot of garbage. And then this last point, less than 1% of the material used is of the material used to produce clothing is recycled into new clothing. And of course, this is something that really has to change with everything that is going on in the world. Bigger world population, more demand for clothing. So this is of course possible as well. That's what we're trying to prove. So what we are doing is we already start in our design phase to think how can we recycle the jeans after use. And this sounds super simple and logical, yet it's really a fundamental element in moving away from a linear take, make and waste industry towards circular economy. It starts in design. So we discarded leather labels, we use stainless steel buttons, all to recycle the jeans after use. Well, our jeans are produced regionally in Tunisia, recycled in Valencia. People can buy or lease our jeans. After 12 months, they can keep wearing the jeans or send them back to us. They are sold as vintage jeans if they're still beautiful. And if they're really, really trashed, worn out, well, then we recycle them. This also means that we actually get like old jeans in our office every day. Like I said, circular design, you see the stainless steel rivets that we use that are also being recycled. The labels, no printed label, or just printed labels, no leather labels. You can lease or buy our jeans for $9.95 per month. And this was really kind of our breakthrough, because in 2013 we were the first saying you can lease our jeans. And that was really the beginning of the sharing economy. Of course, at the moment, it's much better known. I mean, we have car sharing platforms, Airbnb, all these kind of platforms. And we also see that in the beginning it used to be interesting for press, marketing, but not so many people actually did it. And at the moment, we have a really vast majority of online buyers that lease their jeans and that come back all the time. And I think this is a beautiful system, because it is more than a one-stop shop product. If you offer lease, then it means that you can create a long-term relationship with your customers. It also means that we, as a brand, have to take care of our materials. We have to make sure that the quality is perfect, because we stay in touch with them. We have to make sure that sending back the jeans is easy. So it means it's really a shift in mindset from both consumers' perspective and producers' perspective. This is what happens to the jeans after use. A lot of people say, yeah, so are the jeans, just washed and cut together? No, they are really shredded into small pieces. This happens at Dia dos Royo in Valencia. And this is how we now aim to have 40% of post-consumer recycled denim in our products. We aim to make the first jeans of 100% post-consumer denim. This is, of course, mechanical recycling, and we're also diving into the options of chemical recycling and perhaps mixing them together. So, like I said, 40% cotton, recycled cotton. We save 92% water. For us, doing a life cycle assessment is really important. This is something that we do yearly. We measure the impact on water, CO2, and this year also biodiversity. And of course, it's also a call to the industry to measure more, because only if you really measure, you can make claims about sustainability. Only when you measure, you can compare to other brands or to industry standards. And to validate your arguments, you just have to know the numbers. That also means we are a small team, but we have one dedicated CSR manager. And we're, of course, proud of that. We're also proud of being a B Corp. It's a shame that I can't really have interaction, but perhaps some of you already know all about B Corps, but it means that you're using business as a force for good. Other B Corps are, for example, Patagonia, Dopper, for some people that know the Dutch water bottle brand. But it's all companies that may be in different industries, but that all share that value of doing business for a better world. Yeah, so I found it really interesting to read more when the IPCC report came out. And finally, I thought there was a lot of attention about that it's not really about recycling more. Recycling more means still you're creating more waste, or you're still creating materials that you have to find another solution for. That extended producer responsibility can be a solution. And actually, of course, we started with leasing in 2013. Then the whole concept of extended producer responsibility didn't even exist yet. But we really believe that extended producer responsibility can be a way forward, because it is about a producer being responsible for recycling. And yeah, with the growing volumes of waste, with the rising cost of waste as well, and loss of valuable resources, it is just a great way to say, hey, I am responsible for our materials, and we make sure that they come back. We make sure that we treat them well, and that we reuse them into new items. At the moment, we make new jeans out of old jeans, and this is what we for now want to stay with. This question we always get a lot because we think in the denim industry there's still so much to change, but of course you can do it in different ways and make new different products of your old products. Well, as a marketeer, this is really what I found quite ridiculous, that this 30 wears challenge is quite a thing that people have to be told that it's really good to wear an item 30 times, because on average an item is just worn 7 times. And Bert, our he is in his 60s now, he always tells about how clothing used to be functional and how it now became a fast fashion monster where people just buy and throw away, and we order. But I do really think that we can talk about recycling, we can talk about extended producer responsibility, but it's of course also the responsibility of us, of consumers, to just buy less and buy better. The Road to 100. So this is the project I was just briefly mentioning about making that first jeans from 100% post-consumer recycled denim. We're doing that together with Circular Economy and with Saxion University, a university in the north of the Netherlands. And I have a small insight of the process. It's not playing, I guess. Yes, it is. So at the moment we are mixing mechanical and chemical recycling, and it's not a secret process, but it is a little bit. It's a very valuable process because we're talking about small pieces of fabrics that we have. We don't even have enough yet to create a whole pair of jeans. At the moment, we were in the spinning phase where the spinning was happening from this new, kind of sludge that was being made, and the spinning was and all sorts of spinning tests were being done. Is the fabric strong enough? Is it not hairy? All those kind of technical challenge that come with producing a new material. Of course, we are more than jeans. We made an IKEA cover for their clip-on couch, and this is how it looks like. We launched this a few months ago, and it is really great. One of our main pillars is positive activism. We can make an impact by selling jeans, of course, and by making those jeans as sustainable as possible, saving on CO2, etc. But our impact is much larger as a brand, in that we want to inspire other brands, entrepreneurs to also become circular. And it's of course great to have partnerships with amazing companies, but also sometimes with smaller entrepreneurs to share that circular story, but also to share that it's actually possible to share a success case of a circular business. And IKEA's aim is to be fully circular in 2030. And they've used this case study of the clip-on couch to show that it's possible to create circular products. And it is amazing for us because in every IKEA in 9 countries, there are old mud jeans where people can also, to display that people can hand in an old pair of jeans. And this is how we make noise, how we share that circular story. The talk, yes, of course, that's the last thing. Please use the code MUDFRIENDS if you like to purchase a pair of mud jeans. Because in the end, we also notice that a lot of people are talking about change, but that still really changing behaviors is not as easy as it may sound. So we just have to continue the road and drive change for a better future. I'm really curious to hear your questions.
Thank you so much, Danique. You're doing marvelous job.
There's so much more to tell, but no, it's amazing what we're doing.
Well, that's good because we've got a couple of minutes to chat. One of the questions relates to kind of consumer user perspective. You mentioned that when you started, you were really interesting for the press, but sort of not so many people maybe had become your customers. But how would you describe the transition? What kind of started this snowball effect? What changed in the consumers or users' mind?
Well, with regards to leasing, what happened is that there were so many other options to get access, like product as a service options around, like a Netflix, a Spotify. So the membership ideas became more, people became more familiar with them. But also, surely but slowly, people just realized that their own behavior, like I love that quote of every product you purchase is a vote for the world you want, and that is also really the case, that even as a person you can make a change by purchasing from a better or more responsible company. And then we saw an extreme boost after COVID. And I just think there was so much more attention to, like, in a positive way, how the skies were suddenly clearer, how people spend more time in nature. And I think all that also led to people becoming more aware in their purchase behavior.
You've got customers globally. Where's the biggest market, or is it kind of spread all over the world?
It is a little spread, but most important markets are the Netherlands, Germany. France is rising a lot. In the Nordics, we are just not so well known yet, but we hopefully will be more, we will have more marketing and just be more present. But what is a really interesting market is Switzerland, because there we have a few stores and they are doing really well. Online is not so well because of the tax problems shipping something to Switzerland, but the stores are doing amazing. And what the Swiss say is that there already before COVID, there used to be a lot of attention for the future Friday strikes. They were in the news a lot, so there was a lot of awareness around that we have to change this planet and that we have to change our behavior. And they say that the Swiss see it as a sport to buy something sustainable. And I hope really that mindset of seeing it as a sport to do good, that will have an effect all over the world.
That's a good competition, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd also like to kind of elaborate on extended producer responsibility a bit, because you mentioned that, and I've got some colleagues in Brussels, and I know how they've been pushing it to kind of expand to EPR to different sectors. And what they've told me is that extended producer responsibility is not very popular amongst companies, whereas you see it as an opportunity. So why is that? And also the kind of second question is that how could we encourage companies to see it as an opportunity to retain and be responsible for the materials and products that they produce?
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. I mean, we are Mudjeans, a circular denim brand, and circularity is in our DNA. And so since the start, we've asked our jeans back and we recycle them ourselves. And this is, of course, taking care of your products is more costly. So even some people think that recycling is less expensive. It's not the case. And also taking care of your whole reverse logistics also requires more from you as a company. So I think it really is a challenge, and I think it's also a financial challenge for many companies, and they just don't want to change for the worse. But for us, we have been doing business in this maybe stupid, crazy way, because of course our margins are really small, but we are not here for the bigger money. We are a B Corp and we're doing business as a force for good. So I think for many companies to make that shift, it is indeed probably really hard. Whereas for us, it used to be that way since the start. And how to convince companies to still make that shift, I think there also have to be financial benefits to it, or financial like
Yeah.
advantages for taking that responsibility. And of course, this is also something like also the Dutch government is talking about that. For example, we have the case that if we sell a vintage pair of jeans, that we have to pay tax for a second time. And all those, why does a government not support, doing it better for the planet a little bit more? So I think that is one. But I think also if consumers are just, if companies know or notice that consumers become really enthusiastic by them doing business in a different way, that will also motivate them to make that change.
Yeah. Now you've built an entire system. You've built a product as a service business model, and everything that goes behind it, sort of that you are able to kind of run that business and system successfully. Any lessons learned, or kind of anything that you'd like to share that maybe this is something, if you are considering a similar business, that don't do this?
Well, yeah, so two things. So one is make it as easy as possible, because we have been struggling so hard, and actually we're still doing it, to explain how your service works, because convenience is really key for consumers. Everything has to be super easy to understand. And yeah, so don't make it too complicated. We have had many different lease models, and yeah, all the time we're trying to make it easier and explain it better. So that is one lesson learned or advice I would give, is make it as easy as possible for consumers, because you only get one chance, to convince them, and otherwise they're distracted and they're just gone.
Yeah.
And two is believe in in what you are creating. We've also had our doubts, of course, and we've been thinking, is this not only for a very small, very sustainable oriented audience? But then we noticed that now there is a whole tendency of younger generations wanting to own less stuff, and we really noticed that a whole new generation is very interested in this model. It's not only the super green pioneers anymore; it's a larger new audience as well. So, and I think because we stick to it, there were times that maybe we said, no, we shouldn't do it anymore, because of course there's also a lot of administrative costs, and you have to pre-finance the whole product. That made us sometimes doubt, but we believed in it, and now we know that a larger audience is becoming interested in it. So I would also, as a second advice, say, stick with your beliefs.
That's a really good advice. Collaboration with IKEA sounds marvelous. Any other collaboration projects in the pipeline that you could perhaps tell us about?
Well, I can tell you that our denim expert has created a beautiful material, because at one point jeans tend to rip or tear in the crotch, especially in the Netherlands, where people bike a lot. So this is hard to avoid. So we have a beautiful fabric now that is really perfect for a denim or for a bike outfit. So we are, something will be launched soon that has to do with bikes and beautiful quality denim.
Fantastic. Danique, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us. So thank you. And I'm sure we will meet again around circular economy related topics.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.